Okay, I have called the meeting to order, and now it's recorded. The meeting is called to order. Are there any changes, addition to the agenda that people have?
I'm not late.
Okay, I will move on right away. Approval of minutes. I will take a motion to approve the January 26th, 2026 minutes.
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion? I have to say that the detail is much wealthier. So thank you for taking the board comments to heart.
Yeah.
Any other comments, questions? All in favor of approving the minutes, please say aye.
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 Or just raise your hand. 2, 3. Okay, I'm an aye. We have 2 ayes here. It had I think that's everybody.
Can you abstain?
Any
Sure.
abstentions?
Aye.
Okay. Those opposed, please say nay. Okay. Public participation. Public comment is not legally required, but we believe it is crucial for us to hear from our community members about their concerns over issues. Through these meetings, our board models for our students how to conduct public discourse, and that the board and members of our community can approach controversial issues in a civil and constructive manner and can demonstrate mutual respect. Having said that, please note that the board is here to listen. The public comment period is not designed for discussion. Please start by identifying yourself and what town you reside in. Any public comment? Any public want to introduce themselves? Any announcements? Yes, Christine.
I've got one.
Yes.
I don't know if you all saw the article in the, let me find it. Catherine sent it to me, in the Valley News about our Windsor High School students shining at the annual science fair. It was a Valley News article, so I just wanted to shout out all our students who participated, and they did a phenomenal job, so.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Any other public comments, announcements? Okay. Anne Marie.
We have Singo at Weathersfield on the 18th. I believe that's Wednesday, starting at 6 o'clock. Everyone's invited. It's a fun time.
Stingo?
Yeah, it's like bingo, but with songs, and it's to raise money for our music department to go on a trip to Six Flags, I think. I'm not sure.
Exciting. Okay, any other announcements? Okay, thank you. Policy discussions followed by motions. We do have some motions tonight, so we're going to start with E21, distribution of non-school sponsored literature. I will take a motion to approve this policy.
So moved. Second.
Okay, thank you. Any discussion? This is all pretty boilerplate, required by law. And this is, remind everybody that this is not regarding students distributing literature, and the devil will be in the details of procedure on how to handle it. Okay. I'll go around the room here. How do you vote, Nancy?
Yes.
Okay.
Aye.
Megan?
Aye.
Um, Amy,
Aye.
John,
Aye.
Beth,
Aye.
Anne Marie,
Aye.
and I'm an I.
Great. Start working on those procedures.
Yes. Okay. A24, board and superintendent relationships. I will take a motion to approve this policy.
So moved. Second.
Okay, thank you. Any discussion? I will chime in real quick here. Once again, this is a mirrors and gives a little more detail than what the legislature and the state board requires us to do anyway. And I believe it cleaned up some language as well.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. Nancy, how do you vote?
Aye.
Megan?
Aye.
Amy?
Aye.
Beth?
Aye.
Anne Marie?
Aye.
John?
He mounted it.
Okay. And I am an I. So, thank you.
Yeah, we can't hear you again, John, sorry.
Okay. B3, alcohol and drug-free workplace. I will take a motion to approve this.
So moved. Second.
Okay, we're keeping up with the rhythm here. Are there any discussion? Be perfectly honest with you, I can say the same thing about this. It cleaned up some language and it is a required. Any other discussion? Okay, keeping consistently. Nancy, how do you vote?
Aye.
Megan,
Aye.
Beth,
Aye.
Anne Marie,
Aye.
John, okay, and I'm an I.
Amy.
Amy, did I forget Amy? Okay.
Aye.
Okay, thank you, Amy. Hate it when I forget.
You're doing
something.
great.
You're doing great.
Okay, so, okay. We're at first read, student use of cell phone policy. Any comments on this?
Required by July 1.
Yeah. Why is it required by July 1?
That is the AOE guidance.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We were told.
Well, I thought it was well written and concise. Who wrote it?
It came from the AOE.
Okay,
It did. We were waiting for it.
Yeah.
Because they were going to create a model policy for us. And they have, and I think we need it and we're ready for it. To be
Yeah.
honest with you, and I think. our
How are
teachers-
they going to be-
Agree.
Stored.
That's what we gotta figure out.
Yeah.
Once the policy is
that would be
adopted.
in the, that would be in the procedure.
Yeah.
Okay, so, also on this policy, it said on 3, under administrative responsibilities, house staff, the prohibition includes restroom, locker rooms, buses. I can't imagine not having your cell phone on a long bus ride.
Is it under some exceptions or
It's the
responsibilities?
It's under responsibilities.
Have staff monitors compliance.
Prohibition.
Prohibitions
Mhm.
include restrooms, locker rooms, buses.
I do not agree with the buses at all.
So I think some language to clarify that, how I read it is that staff cannot monitor restrooms, locker rooms, and buses. how staff monitor compliance. There is a prohibition on monitoring restrooms, locker rooms, and buses.
Aha,
I don't understand.
That is not perfectly clear,
no. And
but
how is that?
that's an alternate.
Because it
feels
appears
like, yeah.
to, so you're making those as exceptions.
Yes.
I don't know.
Well, I will say we don't want them in the bathrooms.
Right.
And
Well, this number 3 is not talking about where cell phones are not allowed. It is how staff monitors
in those areas.
in
yeah.
those areas.
Yes, I agree with you on that.
Um,
Nancy, it says in the top, the goal of the policy is to enable both students and teachers to work free from distractions that impact learning by prohibiting student use of and access to cell phones and other prohibited devices during the academic day from arrival to dismissal. So I don't read that as on the bus on the way to school or home, but during the day, a field trip.
No phones on a field trip.
I think we've got to come up with procedures for that.
Yeah, because, some of them are quite
That's number
long.
4, yeah. Details regarding supervision on field trips or how district-operated after-school programs handle student access to cell phones.
Because I think of Lexi driving to Pikes Peak and Pico, and not having a cell phone. She would,
But these are, well, that's the question, is the prohibition of the use of cell phone, or is the
Yeah,
prohibition of?
Holding the hat on the.
that is
Having
really
it.
an unexplained, difficult little.
How staff monitor.
Focus, okay, so, but staff are prohibited from monitoring on a bus.
Then it's,
But this says, actually, the superintendent, or does it, should establish procedures that outline
Yeah.
how staff monitor, so in the procedure, right, it will
Outline it.
say
Yeah.
how
Yeah.
it'll be handled on a bus, or, okay.
yeah,
Maybe.
and besides, if they're put away at the beginning of the day, you wouldn't have one in a restroom, or
Right.
you might have one in a locker room.
I think it really needs some clarification because the misuse of a cell phone happens in a bathroom, in a locker room, and on a bus. So
Yeah.
there has to be some means of monitoring that. I mean, there isn't going to be a teacher in the bathroom making sure no one has a cell phone, but there needs to be some clarification on
Yeah.
what that means. And we can't just take it for granted. We need clarification. Thanks.
Thank you, Amy. Yeah, I agree with Amy. There needs to be some clarification in what they mean by exceptions, what do they mean by monitoring.
And maybe if a class is going to Boston, the teacher in charge gives exceptions. I can't imagine not having your cell
Yeah.
phone.
That,
Yeah, so lots of schools have already implemented these according to across the state in New Hampshire. So I know like Hanover has their policy and it's pretty strict in compliance with the state law there already. So it's pretty crystal clear. Like there's not a lot of misunderstandings around it. So it's worth looking over there. And I would say long bus rides. I mean, I have no problem not having cell phones on a bus ride, like actually having kids talk to each other, play the alphabet game, remember what we used to all do on long bus rides with our family. We went to Boston on a bus, and what did that look like? Maybe it's a little easier for the adults because it's quieter, but I mean, we're also always working on social skills, right?
Yeah. Okay,
My little ace.
okay, thank you for your input. We will move forward. Regardless, this is going to be controversial, but cardiac, emergency response plan policy. Reading over this, there's a particular, group that has endorsed this. And that is, someone wants to jump in. I'm looking,
Endorse this policy.
yeah, already,
Well, this one's required by law
right,
as well. We met, I met with the nurses and I'm gonna forget his name, but a gentleman from, Dr. Allen Hospital. They gave us a model policy.
Yeah.
And then we adapted it to our, with our language around RSU.
Yeah.
And then we had it vetted by legal counsel.
right.
So I don't know what part you're referring to, but I'll be honest with you. You said it was vetted by somebody?
This plan was reviewed and approved by the medical director of
Yes.
Windsor Southeast Supervisory Union. First sentence, I guess I should have just stuck with the actual, the highlighted piece. Not a big mystery. So yeah, so it has been reviewed by the medical director, who is,
I was gonna
That's what I was
say,
just gonna ask.
it's
Who's the
gotta be the
director?
medical directors, because those are the nurses, to be honest with you.
Okay.
right,
So I will fix that part.
okay. But that,
Do we have policy around any other medical events? It just seems really odd to me. Like, it's not like we have a stroke emergency event, response event. Like, why do we, it just seems really odd to me.
It's law. They
I
passed
think it
it.
has to do with the fact
So
that we
weird.
have devices available for people to use. It's not so much that, that's my guess. I really don't know.
And in response to, right, having updated AED machines, we have a checklist now, who's checking the batteries monthly.
Yeah.
You know, when you use them, you have to buy new pads, but yeah, there is a lot around,
Yeah.
the AED machines, and you have to have one within 3 minutes of an event, like somebody has to be able to access it. So if you have one on the 3rd floor in Windsor and none on the 2nd or 1st floor, you're not gonna make it. So there's stuff around that as well
Well, the athletic fields.
as the athletic fields. Yeah.
Okay. I think that's the reason. You said.
So how do we stand with our machines?
I've been meeting with the nurses. 2 of our districts have written, grants and have had donations so that we can come into compliance. And, we'll be in compliance at all of the districts by the end of the year. But we weren't prior to this. Okay, so.
Thank you. Yeah. Any other input on this first reading?
Who are it's the nurses department who's.
Yeah.
Is there always somebody, if the nurse is out?
So part of the planning, or part of this policy and the checklist, we have to identify a list of people in the building that must be trained in emergency response CPR. So at our PD, early release day in March, we've partnered with Mount Scottney. We're gonna have, additional people trained in each school. Those have been identified. Yeah, it is good. It is.
So at 6:30, we're going to move on to the superintendent's report.
All right. Okay. Good evening, everyone. I'm gonna start with some celebrations and a little bit of talking about the great things that are going on in our supervisory union. In this slide, you're gonna see a group of middle schoolers who are being recognized at an honor roll assembly, and they used to do these in the hallway at the middle school, but the kids really wanted it to be more special. So now they have their honor roll celebrations in the big theater month, which is great, or trimesterly. You see some kindergarten students engaged in a math game, and I just wanted to shout out our kindergarten teachers are continually working on infusing play and games into the learning environment, and with that curriculum that they have to follow, that is not an easy feat all the time, but they work at it because they believe that for students of all ages, the best way to learn is through play and games. So working on that, and then those are our, I think, 23 Rotary Interact students in that photo. They went to the Haven on a service learning related trip to learn about food insecurity. They participated in an interactive learning section about the services that the Haven provides and the people who access them in the Greater Upper Valley. And it was a really eye-opening discussion about the needs in our communities. And so it was a really good learning experience for them. And I'm part of Rotary, and last year we had 2 students in Interact. And now we have 23, which is pretty phenomenal.
Wow.
Fantastic. Yeah, it's a great bunch of kids. So in this slide, you will see in the upper 2 slides, we have our high school leadership lighthouse team. They've been working with Up for Learning, and they devised a survey for staff and students, and they led a staff meeting about a week and a half ago, and they led the staff members through an activity where they identified the strengths of the school, or the high school, specific to high school, the growth opportunities and the dreams, and then they're going to be looking at all that data to help them make some steps for improvement. So it's a really great partnership. And then we've got a huge winter carnival going on at Heartland Elementary School on the opening day of the Olympics. Even though it was cold, they did their march, and they did light a little bonfire, and they had activities. And the same at Albert Bridge, they had winter kids participating in Olympic games. So it's great to connect with what's going on in the world. So those are the exciting things that are happening that I'd like to highlight for you. This is just to let you know, we will so the AOE will be releasing the annual snapshot data later this week. I believe it was delayed last week, but you can access that on the schoolsnapshot.vermont.gov. It's I've done some trainings with them in the past. It's hard to explain where they get their information and how it all feathers out. I don't know if you've been on there, Bill, and looked at it, but you're improving or not. And when you ask clarifying questions about how they figured that out, you don't get a concrete answer, I've found. So I'm looking forward to seeing where we are. Federal updates, a little bit of good news came out. So the changes in funding, our Title I, there's a slight increase. Our IDEA grants, there's a slight increase. I mean, $20 million is a lot of money, but not when you spread it across the entire country. And most other programs are level funded, and that's really good news because we were concerned about that. So I just wanted to share that with all of you. And now we're to legislative updates. So likely following what's going on a little bit in the legislature right now. If you haven't heard, the House Ed Committee reviewed a map and related draft policy concepts that go along with that, led by Peter Conlon. He did emphasize a few times that this is a conversation starter. It's not a done deal, not a final proposal. So they're looking at it and having sessions about it. I think it went from down to 29 districts and SUs instead of 100 and whatever we have now, 14. So if you are interested and you haven't seen the map, I can pull it up, I think. Let me see. It's here. Has anyone seen it? Or looked at it?
No.
No, I tried to ignore it. I know this.
I tried to too, but I felt it was my responsibility to bring it to you.
I have not seen it.
Well, this is the one that has, I'm sorry, it's hard to see. This isn't the one that has the labels on it. But we are down here.
The gray or and then we have West.
We're here, the dark gray, I believe, up
Okay.
the river with Hartford.
The dark gray?
The dark gray or the light gray?
I think this is us.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
This is Mountain View.
Yeah.
Mountain View didn't change. I don't know why. They left them with 900 kids and
Wow.
put other kids together. Again, it's just a starting point, and I'm not getting worked up about it. We'll
So-
continue to follow along.
Who's all in ours? It's Woodstock, us, Hart.
No, it just, for us, it's, Windsor Southeast and Hartford.
I think they tried to design somewhat around tech centers, this version, but I don't know Woodstock's an outlier.
I have, yeah.
Woodstock's an outlier, but anyway,
Probably not the only
Southeast
outlier.
and Hartford. Oh,
so we'll see what happens with that. Just a couple other legislative, oh, no, I stopped sharing the screen. Hold on. Give me 1 second. About that.
So they left Woodstock's completely,
And I don't know, I haven't talked to
that whole
Sherry yet about that, but
area.
here we go.
That's
Okay.
okay.
I mean, I don't know what's gonna happen with it, to be honest with you.
No.
I don't know. Okay, so there's a couple other, bills, H 542 would put an end to the requirement that, schools be tested for PCBs. That's, one of the things that they're discussing, since it's unfunded and they've taken a lot of heat on that. It's likely that that will go away. We were not tested. Windsor Southeast, none of our schools, we were on track to, and they paused it, so. H 640 would require all Vermont school district boards to include voting members from grades 9 through 12 and non-voting student members from grades 7 and 8 on their governing boards. I don't know if people have feelings about that. I think it's wonderful to have students on boards. I don't know if it makes sense for them to be voting members in particular areas and things that we talk about, so. And then, Anne Marie, you want a question? You have a question?
I just was gonna say, it would be really odd to add a voting member, because wouldn't that then, like, we're an odd number now, wouldn't that then make us an even number?
Yes, and student perspective is valuable and we want it and need it, but I don't know if it's always appropriate for them to,
Well, the
not
only,
on everything.
the only board that would be affected would be the Mount Scottney. It does say
High school.
school district boards.
Yeah.
Oh,
Or not for voting members, yes, but it requires it, and how hard we've worked to try to get the students to
yeah,
participate,
that's
and
crazy.
I mean, are they gonna require Weathersfield to have 9th through 12th graders from Weathersfield on the Weathersfield board voting? It's quite possible.
yeah, that's a good question.
Yep.
Good question. Okay, then there's one about, prohibiting certain artificial dyes in foods, and beverages that are sold at schools. There are a few others that I don't think are gaining much traction. This one is H 842, and this one's important. Elizabeth was going to be here to talk to you about it, but she's sick tonight, so she asked me to share a little bit. This one proposes structural and procedural changes to how the state oversees health insurance. And we negotiate at the state level, so it's out of our hands when we're negotiating locally. That's good or bad. It was supposed to save us money, but it hasn't turned out to do that. So, Elizabeth's concern is, the changes in the way healthcare is negotiated would be a net positive, but it also places the Secretary of Education in the controlling seat. The Vermont NEA and the ACLU and several other organizations strongly oppose this bill based on that fact alone. So she wanted to make sure that you knew that, because there is an action alert out by the VSBA to support this bill, and she wanted to make sure everybody had a good understanding of what that bill states, so that you could.
Who holds the power now?
There's a governing board.
Okay, so it's a,
Yeah, and there would still be a governing board with membership laid out of, which positions and how many, but the person in that position would have the ultimate say. something, so.
I would push against that as long as it is a secretary. I would support it if it no longer was a governor appointed position.
Mhm.
Puts way too much power in the
Yeah.
hands of the executive branch.
Agreed. So, keep your eyes out for that. Couple things coming up, student testing and results. So we finished up Star and Dibbles, and Bridget will bring the report at the next March meeting. Put that data together for the SU board and the local boards. I mentioned Read Vermont Literacy Initiative that we are participating in, and it feels like we've got things all organized and it's moving. And Bridget and I met with the coach who's going to be working with the administrators, and seems really knowledgeable, and he's going to be able to help us move our practices within our schools. And then there's another coach that meets with the teachers, and then they all come together. So we think it's going to be pretty beneficial. So we'll keep you updated. And then lastly, I had to do a shout out. I didn't even know this, but during our cold stretch, which went on for a long time, Jim and his team were called out multiple times in the night to make sure the heat was working and replacing parts. One day he told me, he's like, I don't know, we had a meeting or something. He's like, can I leave early? We've been called out for 7 nights in a row. And I said, Jim, you do all of this work, and it's behind the scenes, and I really appreciate that work, and people don't know it. And so I just wanted to shout Jim out tonight and his team for taking good care of us and making sure our buildings are up and running and working and warm and safe. So shout out for Jim. And then I will stop sharing. I think Tracy is on next. Tracy, you're going to share your own screen. Any questions for me before I turn it over?
I have to stay 2 minutes under.
Okay, go. Getting there.
I will try and keep up that trend.
All right,
Also, just
Tracy, you're sharing.
Yes.
Are you going
I
to
will
share your
my
screen? Okay.
Yes. Okay. Here we go. I also just realized I changed my background. I was just messing around with stuff, and here we are. I'm not sure where I'm calling in from, but all right. Okay. Great. So I was asked to share a bit of a progress report. I think Elizabeth Burrows asked last time about our last meeting about where are we at in some of our policies. And so I wanted to share a progress report, and I'm going to report back again in April too, a little bit more on this. So for some folks who were on the board, and please, anybody jump in anytime if you have questions, but this was a theory of change that I used to situate our work in diversity, equity, inclusion. A lot of social change theories, any social change theories really have these like nested levels of what we're looking at. And so this one is it's basically saying that in order for any sort of change to happen and be sustained, it needs to occur on different levels. So individual, cultural, and institutional. And that was the way when I first started working at Windsor. It was looking at what are all of the things that we said we would do in our equity related policies, like our anti-racism policy, our equity policy. I think we have a couple other ones sprinkled in. And anyway, you can think really broadly too about diversity, equity, inclusion, but it was a way of thinking about, do all these policies support some shared goals? So it was my attempt to try and organize them into reporting back to you all on that. And I hope it makes sense. So again, for those of you who've seen this, most of the goals that we have when it comes to thinking about diversity, equity, inclusion, and I also just want to pause and acknowledge that we are still using those words, and how having a supportive board and a supportive superintendent, who continue to really emphasize and understand the value of this work is something that I am continually grateful for, to be in a district that does this work. So thank you all. So most of this work really does come down to culture, right? When we're thinking about all of these things really have to do with culture, and culture change takes a lot of time. It's like, what are all the things we need to learn and unlearn, and how do we do that, and all of that. So most of what I'll be talking about really does come down to culture, but it can't happen without institutional policies and practices, and also exploring things like biases and individual level change and capacity too. So I think our goals are specific in that they all sort of connect around these three ideas. One is that all staff, students, teachers, administrators, board will participate in ongoing capacity building and training and support, and that will create and sustain safer, braver spaces across all levels of our supervisory union, which may change in our maps, and maybe this will be across Windsor and Hartford. Which is actually a great union, because I work really closely with the DEI person who's in Hartford too, and I feel like a lot of what we're doing in both of our supervisory unions is similar and complementary. And that we'll build and sustain a dedicated team and community of support. So this is how I'll be sharing out our progress. So when we think about that first goal is really about the ongoing capacity building, training, and support. Some of the places where this shows up, right? This shows up in our anti-racism policy, equity policy, transgender policy, and equity audit recommendations. I know was something Elizabeth Burrows had also asked specifically about. And what you'll see in the middle are just sort of like, these are the summarized ways that we can help make sure that we're supporting the things that we say we're going to do in those policies. And what I wanted to do is just pull out and highlight a couple of ways that we're doing this. This is all a work in progress, right? I mean, these are ongoing things. This was part of our instructional leadership plan that was also connected to our strategic plan, which, like, we're not done with that. We're not done with that. And we're gonna keep, we're gonna stay focused on these because, yeah, again, we're not done. And I feel like this is really 3 years into a sustained effort in doing this work. And I think we're finding places like when Christine and I were talking earlier today, it's like, well, let's keep that thing going because, again, culture change takes time. So some highlights, I think, of how this capacity building is showing up. We have another DEI themed in-service day. I think I mentioned last board meeting. So this is coming up March 2nd. And we have 3 all-day focused learning tracks. And what's exciting, and I also want to shout out to Bridget, because she and I have really worked a lot, I think, when it comes to thinking about in-service, and especially when it comes to thinking about the education quality standards and culturally responsive track. Actually, all of these, they kind of cut across everything. But we will, so we're going to have this DEI themed in-service day on March 2nd, but then we're also planning for another one in September. So hoping that these same 3 tracks will be areas of continued focused professional development. We've been talking about these things for a while, right? Reflective restorative practices, universal design for learning, neuro-inclusive spaces, and certainly with the education quality standards, especially the language around having education that's explicitly anti-racist and culturally responsive. So it's exciting to think that we can focus on these and continue to build on them. So looking forward to that. A little bit more specific about coming up March 2nd, really excited that we're partnering with Clemens Family Farm for the culturally responsive track. We're partnering with the Vermont Higher Ed Collaborative for the neuro-inclusive track, and then Up for Learning, which is a continuation of the partnership that Christine was highlighting that we're already involved in with them, with the high school students. And the high school students, there are going to be some high school students who are actually helping to facilitate that session, which is super cool. And this is all in service, right? The capacity building that we're really trying to continue to practice is always asking who is missing and why, right? In anything that we're doing, in programs, in lessons, in meetings. I mean, this is like just getting in the practice of thinking about who's missing and asking why. Is it something historical? Is there something in policy? Is there some bias or perspective? Whatever it is, just getting in the practice of continuing to surface who's being left out. We're also building capacity through, this is like the schedule of when equity coaches are leading staff meetings. I still get an hour, mostly each month with administrators. We've been working on a lot of case studies lately. So things that are coming up in schools, whether it's like a t-shirt that a student wore, like to be able to have the conversation about what does this mean? What do we do? Who's missing and why, right? So to really be working through some of the scenarios that are already happening in our schools, or that we might anticipate happening in our schools. This is just a way of thinking about how we're trying to align a little bit around the themes that equity coaches are also delivering during those all staff meetings. It looks different though in each building because the needs are different in each building. We also have, super exciting, I mentioned that we got a grant from the Byrne Foundation to support this partnership with Clemens Family Farm. If you all have not checked out Clemens Family Farm resources, just go to their website. I've mentioned they're one of the few Black-owned farms in the state of Vermont, and they have a ton of curricular resources. So they, the three that you're seeing on your screen right now, they have this orientation program, this foundations program. For the Love of the Land is a new program of theirs. And each of these is like a minimum of like a 2-hour exploration, right? So they're resources for teachers to look at and actually figure out where can they pull in some of these lessons, or maybe even some of the guest speakers that Clemens works with, into their classroom to help complement some of the things that they're already teaching. So this is like one of the ways that we're looking at how we can do these new education quality standards with some support from their partnership. And then on the right, that's just something I've been putting in newsletters, right? Which could be a little bit more of a passive way of thinking about education, but just things like, did you know, right? This one was in honor of Black History Month. So we talked about, if you haven't checked out, Black inventions or Black inventors who have changed the world. If you have not looked into that, I definitely recommend Googling that. So again, all the ways that we can be thinking about uplifting stories, perspectives, narratives from folks who have been missing, right? So, and again, if anyone please jump in anytime. I'm just going to keep rolling. So that second goal was around creating and sustaining safer, braver spaces across all levels of our SU. This is, where it is supported in different policy and audit recommendations, and a couple of sort of specific things that we're looking to do, those lead measures. Things I wanted to tease out and highlight. Again, the partnership with Up for Learning that Christine mentioned, that is something I think we're all hoping to continue to work with Up for Learning. The way to, I joined one of the last sessions right toward the end, but the students have been really engaged. And like Christine mentioned, they were leading a staff meeting. They're working on a culture survey, which is something that we said we were going to do in our policies. So anyway, it's exciting, and I'm really looking forward to continuing that partnership with them and see what's possible, not just with high school, but then what's the relationship to middle school, and is there some opportunity to also pull that down through elementary school. So staff culture survey was also something that we did this year. So that was another highlight, something that we said we were going to do in our policies, and something I think we want to continue to refine. And that can also be informed by the work that's happening with Up for Learning. They've been focused specifically on Windsor, but hopefully whatever they start to build out can also have some influence, or something that happens across our SU. Also really want to shout out all of the administrators, and with Christine's leadership, I mean, there's more work, of course, that we can continue to be doing to strengthen the ways that we're supporting hazing, harassment, and bullying. But really this year, I mean, we've done a lot. The administrators have taken on so much, whether it was looking through, updating all of the behavior matrices, following the behavior matrices. When something happens in schools, it's like it's like they're looking, okay, what did we say we're going to do? There's a lot more consistency, and the trainings with staff and with students, just again, really shouting out. I know it's a lot of work that they've taken on, also with pulling out data and doing all the data dives and looking at things, again, which is something we said in our policies, that we would look at some demographics and how did demographics play out in the ways that we're looking at data. Also always asking who's missing and why, right? Equity tickets, we still have equity tickets. Gosh, I just was responding to a few that came in today. They help to surface some things that whether it's anonymous or a teacher, staff, student reporting something, I think they're still serving a purpose. And we also were working on streamlining them a little bit with other data reporting systems like Empower School. And so I think we can keep strengthening the way that those are working. But they're definitely, they help identify some trends or just, maybe catch some things that we might not have known about. So we'll continue to use those. That third goal was around building, sustaining a dedicated team and community of support. So again, showing some alignment with policy and audit recommendations, and really thinking about, this is where, having our equity coaches in the buildings, having a little bit more of a structure, having student groups. We have over in Heartland on the right, you can see that's the school community inclusion group. This was students giving a presentation to Frank Romeo, to the principal, and to Michael Schaefer about some incidents and things that were happening on the bus that they had concerns about. And what was really cool about this was it wasn't just like, oh, we're concerned, but like, here are our recommendations. Like they had very clear recommendations.
Oh.
So, so that was really cool to see that. And Frank also, he was excited about it and was sharing with me some way. I think he created some posters they're going to put around the school, right? So the students get to see the things that they're leading also being valued, within the school community, which is really pretty cool. Also have partnerships with Outright Vermont this year. We are an affiliate member of the Educator of Color Network, which we are meeting like internally to really figure out how do we make that commitment to diversifying the educator workforce. What does that mean? That resource on the right is one that came out of the Great Schools Partnership that's very new. And so Christine and I and a couple other folks internally are like, what do we do with this? How do we support thinking about how our staff, how does it over time reflect like changing demographics, right? We know the demographics are going to shift in Windsor. How do we have a more representative staff, and what does that mean for us and our hiring practices over time? Let's see, just a couple more things. Also related to this was another strategic plan goal in our instructional leadership plan, student success and engagement. This is where I think a lot of the education quality standards fit in. These were things that I reported out on last year, and what I'll share is that, again, this is work in collaboration with Bridget and some equity coaches and some volunteer teachers to actually try on this culturally responsive scorecard to look at a lesson. And there's a lot more we're doing around this, but it's exciting, and I think this complements what the work with Clemens Family Farm too. It's again thinking about who's missing from our curricular resources and how can we fill some of those gaps. These are just a few opportunities, again, that connect with our policies that we can continue working on, that I will be able to report back to you all and our progress. And did I come in, was that 2 minutes less, or was that
Yes,
about?
yeah, you didn't even use up the minute that Christine had saved for you. Congratulations.
All right. Well,
There's a lot.
thank you.
Fantastic job.
Yeah, thank you very much, Tracy.
Thank you.
Okay. Items up for discussion, superintendent evaluation. So it's the bill show now.
It's the bill show now. Let me share my screen again.
Yes, thank you. So I forwarded the evaluation to all the board members, including non-SU board members, today, well, at 5 o'clock. What I want to accomplish today is just to talk about how to read this. Okay, so there are 8 different areas that this evaluation covers. The first one we're looking at is visionary supervisory union leadership. Now, the link right below the title of each area takes you to the actual standard. Okay, So that is what the state has put out as the standard that we should assess school administrators on.
So the piece in the box.
Right here.
Yeah,
Yes.
Christine, you want to highlight standard 1 there?
Oh,
Right here.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't, yeah, here, I'll pull it up. Sure.
Yeah, so that link goes to the actual standard.
oh, okay.
Right there. Thank you.
Yeah.
So that you can see what area the state wants us to measure.
Okay.
Okay. The box underneath that overall scores is just the raw scores that the survey output. Throughout this evaluation, there will be multiple data visualizations, but right here, I wanted you to see the actual raw scores. And they're different for each area. When I talk about area in my assessment, as well as throughout this, I'm talking about the actual title. Visionary Supervisory Union Leadership is this area. So that's what that first chart is. Underneath that, in the boxed area, is my input. I went back and forth whether or not I should put in an evaluation, sort of my input, and I landed on that some board members would probably like my input because I've been through the data. I have read everything, all the comments, been working on this for 4 months now. And so I attempted to have a very brief and concise input on this area. What I'm hoping for is other members of the board will go through this and have their own input for each of the 8 areas. And then I'd like next SU meeting to go into executive session and have an open discussion with Christine about what we see and what other areas, other people's input are and other areas for improvement. Okay. Underneath that, in different ways, where it says Christine Superintendent Responses, if you click that link, that takes you to Christine's discussion of this area. Her well-written and linked with evidence response. It was very telling for me reading through all these and looking at all the evidence. After that, there are survey comments. There were many comments that people gave, and I put in the comments that related to this area. Okay. Some of them positive, some of them not so positive, but they're related that I didn't put in all comments because some comments didn't relate to any area. So underneath that, where it says data visualization, if Christine can click on that.
Yeah, I can.
Then
This one?
yes. Where it says data visualization, that data visualization link is in the footer. What that opens is the data visualization spreadsheet. And Christine, like many people, is trying to learn the fact that sometimes you just need a mouse.
I mean, I'm clicking on it, but it's not opening.
Oh,
There
there
we
we
go.
go.
Okay, wait. Yeah, there we go. There we go. Okay.
Okay.
Here it comes. Here it comes. Share this.
Okay. Oh, that's it. It's,
It has to open, right? The photos or
Yeah.
the visuals. Just a little slow.
So there are 2 visualizations with this. Okay, so I've given board members 3 ways to visualize the data.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah. And so 2 ways are in this data visualization sheet. Okay, the drop down at the very top in row 7 gives you the area to look at. And then when you, underneath that drop down, you can choose what group of that data you were looking at. So you click on that, you look at board of directors, you can go support staff, and then you will look at all the questions in that area in column to the far right is a sum of all those different areas. So Christine, if you can click on questions,
Questions.
down the tab below,
Oh,
the
yeah, yeah.
second tab
This one
below.
right here, visual questions. Yeah.
Okay, this is another visualization. Okay,
Yeah.
this allows you to look at all the area, one question at a time. Okay, so you can look at effective organization and then see how support staff scored it, how professional staff scored it, how administrators scored it, and how board scored it, and how Christine scored it. And then, yeah, so that's the second visualization. If you want to go back to the actual
Just
document.
impressed with your work.
I don't see where you saw a question to get to this.
So is at the bottom right here?
It's on a tab there, yeah.
Aha.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, so let me go back here.
Thank you.
Any questions while we, okay, so that's a data visualization question. So within the actual document, I give the sum of each question for you to look at, okay? Underneath each sum, if data visualization isn't your thing, if you click the button underneath the chart, it will bring you to a document that has all the graphs for that question. Okay,
That's the data summary right there.
that's the data. So that's the third data visualization for those who aren't comfortable with drop downs of spreadsheets. So it's a third way you could read it. So there's multiple ways for you to read the data. If you could just go back up to the top. Sure. Thank you. And so in summary, the first link is to the state standards. The first chart is the overall scores for each questions. The box underneath is my short paragraph summary of how I believe Christine did. To read Christine's response to each area, click that link. Underneath that is the survey comments related to this area. And then underneath that is the summary of the data visualization. And then you can look at whichever three ways you want to look at the data. Okay?
I am really impressed.
Thank you, Bill.
So,
Holy mackerel, Bill.
no, this is what I do for a living. And I probably got a little carried away, but I wanted to make sure that this
That's
was
great.
available. The data was really good, and I want to thank everyone who participated and did comments. And I really want to thank Christine for taking the time and the effort she did to respond to the 8 areas. So, any questions? If board chairs would like me to review this with your individual boards, I'd be happy to dial in on the Google Meet and group review this as well. I think that the 2 board chairs here are probably more than capable to explain how to do it as well. So I'm happy to allow that. But I would like to invite all board members, district and SU, to participate in a discussion during the next board meeting with executive session. And I want to highlight quickly is that, as you read in the email, like all staff evaluation, this is for board members to review, and Christine, it is not for public use. Thank you.
Thanks, Ben. Thank you. It was a lot of work on your part.
Wow.
Okay. Update on HHB committee.
Yes, so, after our last meeting, I brought the, invitation to join a subcommittee of the board
Mhm.
to, look at the feedback from that, HHB committee who's working on a new policy. And I had, 2 principals, Jennifer and Kate, are gonna participate, and Tracy Price is gonna participate. and I'll participate, and Bill and Elizabeth.
Yeah.
So right now, we are at the stage where we're trying to engage some students to join us. And Kate's put out a notification a couple of times and hasn't had any responses from students. She felt like we needed to let them know kind of the parameters of what we were doing. So we decided that we would have probably 2 to 3 remote only evening meetings. And so she was going to communicate that and see if that helped entice some students to be part of it. So that is we're working on it.
Are we gonna include some offering to some middle schoolers?
I think her advertisement said middle, but I can check.
Okay.
Yeah, I can check on that. And I can certainly check with the other principals if there are any middle schoolers that would be interested. So we're hoping to get this off the ground sooner rather than later. Yeah.
I think during the last meeting, and it'd be good to Tracy to hear this. I'm excited to participate because this is really an area of weakness for me.
Yeah.
And to work with such a great team. Retirement?
Yes, we have some retirements, and Jen Holtz, our Director of Student Support Services, is on.
Hello.
Resignations because they are in special education.
Yes. Can you all hear me okay?
Yes.
Yes.
So yeah, it's tough times in the special education department. We are losing 3 very skilled and respected professionals to retirement. So Barb Martin is a paperwork special educator, and she oversees Weathersfield and Albert Bridge, and she'll be retiring in June. Jackie Crawford has been the paperwork special educator for Windsor K through 12. And she's retiring in June. And then Linda Sampson, who is a special educator for Windsor Middle School, will also be leaving us in June. So we would just wish them well. And you can avoid, is there feedback? I haven't noticed there's a feedback on my screen. You guys can hear me okay? No, okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Jennifer, can you define what you mean by paperwork special educator?
I can. So the model here at Windsor is that we have in-house special educators and special education interventionists, and then we have paperwork special educators. The paperwork special educators do not work with kids. They do all of the paperwork. They write the IEPs, they write the evaluations, they do all the Medicaid, submission of Medicaid. They do all the meeting setup. They send out all the notices. They do all of the very tedious yet very important and required timeline and paperwork, compliance paperwork that needs to occur.
Thank you, Jennifer.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Of course, for those who are wondering why I'm not calling for anything for retirement, we don't vote.
Right.
Yeah.
It's to bring to your attention. You'll
Bring it
see
to your
them
attention.
posted.
So,
See them posted online as new positions. So if you know anyone, please send them our way.
all
All right.
resignations. Do we want to,
I can give you a little bit of information.
Okay.
And then we can decide if we need to go into
Okay.
executive session.
thank you.
So, Stephanie's here online, so you can see her. She's our ELL teacher. And she's a wonderful ELL teacher. As you may remember from our SU budget discussion, our ELL population it fluctuates. I think we were up to 12 students maybe 2 years ago.
Clarify what it is, just
English language learners. So they're students that need extra support in English language acquisition. So Stephanie, I believe started maybe part-time and then was increased to full-time based on the caseload, and we proposed a reduction next year because of the caseload has dropped. She has been on a full full-time contract this year and was gracious enough to spend some of her time helping us with intervention, because she didn't have a full caseload. So we utilized her in the school that needed the most support in terms of intervention, instruction. So knowing that her job is going to be reduced next year, she is doing what any of us would do, and she's looking for a new full-time position elsewhere. Unfortunately for us, fortunately for others. And she does have, she has been interviewing for a position that is very interested in hiring her in the state, but we have an agreement between superintendents and maybe it's statute. Can we look that up?
Yeah, it is in statute.
She can't proceed without permission from us to proceed in that process. I don't know if that is an immediate hire for right now, or if it's for next year. And I reached out to her superintendent, but I have not heard back, or superintendent she's interviewing with. I have not heard back if there's any leeway in terms of negotiating when the end date of her contract with us is. But she's here, and if you have questions for her, she's happy to respond if it pleases the board.
Anybody have any questions?
So I think what I was thinking about before the meeting, because I have not talked to the superintendent in the district she's interviewing in, is if the board is in support of a resignation, I would negotiate the end date of her contract here. I don't know if
I'm
feels right or not.
yeah, I'm not sure we're quite ready to vote, and not so much that we won't. I'll have to be honest. It is a understandable situation. My preference, and I will open this up to other board members, my preference would be to wait until we know more information about timeline and things like that. Just sort of voting on a resignation without any sort of knowledge about what's going to happen or what's not going to happen. If there is a need to transition before the next board meeting, Christine will contact me and I will call for an emergency SU board meeting to go into executive session where the board can discuss it and then come up with our decision so that Stephanie knows our decision when we know more. Does anyone else of the board think we should proceed otherwise?
I guess I'm confused on what we're waiting for. We're waiting to hear back for the superintendent to tell us when the date would be, but what would that change
Right,
our decision?
that's what I'm wondering. She's going to leave, and she has to leave.
Right, okay, so, but we don't know when. That's my point. So I'm willing to listen to other people to Anne Marie.
So I'm just thinking that since we can't offer her full time starting next year, can't we sort of put it contingent that, we'll approve it as long as she can finish out this year?
That's the conversation I need to have with the superintendent. Sometimes they'll hold the job. Sometimes they have other candidates that they'll swoop up now. So, and I haven't, like I said, I haven't had a conversation with him yet. It depends how high their need is. It depends how many applicants they've had. Might he let us keep her until April? I don't know until I have a conversation with him.
And that,
I don't know, it just seems a little weird. not to just move it forward, because would we deny it based on that? Of not finishing the year? It seems kind of, I don't know, a little inhumane to not allow someone to earn a livelihood when they, when they're the choice candidate or something like that. It seems a little strange. Yes, it would put us in a harder spot, but it's for a couple months. But I don't know.
Yeah.
We're dealing with
Um,
somebody in their livelihood, not, I don't know,
Right.
not a
That,
procedure.
that's really not my point to deny her long-term or even not approve it. This is understandable. It's just, it seems strange to me to accept a resignation if we don't know when that resignation is going to be put into enforcement.
But does it matter?
It does matter. It really does, because it's a contract. And so a contract has to have an end date. We just can't have an open-ended, this
Bill, I
person is
understand
going.
what you're saying. Yes, it's a legal contract and all those kinds of things, but would it change our votes?
No,
Would we
not
say,
really.
oh no, she's leaving in April, we're not gonna take her resignation and deny her
I
that?
don't think-
Or would they say it's
Yeah, I
June,
don't.
never mind, it's fine? Like, I don't think it's not gonna change my vote either way to deny somebody a job that they want.
Right. But yes, and I don't
That's all.
think it would deny my vote either way either. I mean, this is just, I'm just wondering how the motion would be worded so that that it is contingent on Christine talking to the superintendent to see when the end date would be. We don't know that information. And so, I would prefer to wait so that we can have a motion that says we accept this resignation as of April 1st or April 15th or March 31st. And so.
Couldn't you
that's
just say
only
we
my-
accept the resignation on the date that is agreed upon between Christine Bourne and the other superintendent? And just be done with it?
Yes, I think that's a good
Because,
idea.
I mean, we have faith in Christine and that other superintendent that they would be making a choice that seems good for both SUs. I don't know.
Okay. Anybody else? Any other board members want to give their opinion on that? Amy? I have always highly recommended your procedural knowledge.
I think it would be fine to say that we'll accept the resignation. Based on the conversation or the agreement between superintendents.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I will take a motion to accept the resignation to date contingent on Christine negotiating with the other school district superintendent.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Nancy,
I,
Amy,
You have to say the name.
Amy, you have,
Sorry, yeah.
any
So
discussion?
my one thought on this is if the person leaves, let's say April, then there are a couple of months that the students who are in need of English language learning, do we have a plan for how their needs will be served?
We are going to reach out to a neighboring district who may have the capacity to help us serve those students. I can say the students that we have currently, they have to take an annual test, WSESU test, and they are in the midst of doing that now. So we'll know what students we have left to serve after those results come back.
Good,
But that
thank
is our
you.
plan. Yeah, I don't anticipate advertising and finding 0.2 or 0.3 ELL teacher for the remainder of the year, but we'll reach out to other districts that have ELL teachers and see if we can share some services. Good. Contract it out, yeah.
Any other discussion? Thank you, Amy.
It's a great question, Amy.
Yeah.
Was.
And I had, we got the motion and then I went to vote. The way I'm supposed to do it. Okay, if there's no more discussion, Nancy, how do you vote?
Aye.
Megan?
Aye.
Amy?
I,
Beth?
Aye.
Thank you.
Anne Marie?
Hi.
John? And I am an I with gratitude for past service. Excellent. Thank you, board members, for your input. I do appreciate that.
It makes sense to call this.
Resignation. Next agenda.
So we're gonna have some second reading of 2 policies and some additional policies that are new.
Yeah.
Because we asked a bunch tonight. We have to do our reorganization to start the meeting. Our meeting will be March 23rd. That'll be after elections, and all of the local meetings will have done their reorganization by then. So reorg at the SU level, we're gonna make sure we have a backup signer. I made myself a note, so John wouldn't have to be the only backup signer, the only signer on the financials. There is a admin report, so myself and then Bridget's reporting next month, and she will have the data report based on the most recent data. That's a lot.
So I'm
We can hold off on the new policies if you want.
no, that's not. I think we need to put off superintendent discussion.
Okay.
But we also need to. That's really a one input from, the board chairs on if you're comfortable doing that, or we can put off some policy discussions for next month so we can have some time during an executive session to have a discussion. Because I know the board chairs, including myself, will be starting negotiations.
Can I say something even though I'm not a board chair? Ask you a question. Does it make a difference that it's going to be potentially different board members?
We're not involved in the evaluation.
Yeah, Bill, I was gonna say, so I'm a resigning board chair. So,
Okay.
so we'll have new people in the seat all around.
Not that anyone wants necessarily more meetings, but
And we're meeting already, so let's put off those that are doing the negotiations. I just want to point out to, and I trust Davis, he's gotten back to me to do their due diligence to read the evaluation. And those who are then appointed to board chair after the renegotiations will have to do their due diligence and read the
Is Beth
evaluation.
remaining on the board?
Beth is not running
Yeah.
for, I don't know, her decade of.
This is
being
my
a board
official
member.
last meeting.
Nancy too.
Me too.
That's fine. Okay, so we'll
This is your last SU meeting.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, and Beth.
okay, so yeah, let's do that, Christine.
We'll do, we'll hold it till April.
Hold it till later.
Okay, yep, we got it.
Oh, give me more time to read it over.
It'll give everybody more time to read it. It is in depth, sort of. Yeah.
Got it.
I just want want some feedback if people disagree with what I put in there. You're full of crap.
Let them know, we can get back to you.
Okay. I will.
We should probably thank Nancy and Beth.
Yes, yes. I'm processing Beth leaving. I've processed Nancy leaving. You know, I've known that
You've known it for a long
for
time.
some way. So,
Yeah.
I do want to
Didn't mean
thank,
to surprise it on you.
pardon?
I didn't mean to surprise it on you.
No,
But a
no,
good
I'm,
8 or 9 year stint was enough.
yeah, no, I'm sure it shouldn't have been a surprise, but, I'm sure your board knows already, which is really the important part. But
Yeah.
I want to thank you, on behalf of the Windsor Southeast Supervisory Union, for your years of dedicated service and, your wealth of knowledge in many areas have been an asset, and you will truly be missed. And I want to thank Nancy for her time on the SU board. Her, how should I put this? Grounded approach and years of experience as an educator has been, welcome and allowed me to hear a different perspective sometimes than I hold myself. And I find that extremely important.
Thank you.
And so,
Thank you.
thank you.
I'm sad to see them both go.
I know. So with that, I have to say, I will take a motion to, we don't need the approval of the resignation, we don't need an executive session. I will take a motion to end this meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Okay.
I'll
we're, all in favor, please say aye.
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 I, and thank you, Nancy, and thank you, Beth. I will miss you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll pop in now and again just to keep you on your toes.
Please.
Oh, good. Thank you all. Have a good night.
I'd like to say